Welcome to the new video of NeuroPhilos. Get ready to dive into a gripping tale that will leave you breathless, thinking, and inspired. Whether you're here for the mystery, the drama, or the unexpected twists, you're in the right place. Make sure to hit that like button, drop a comment, and subscribe so you never miss another powerful story. Let's begin. The exhausting war in your head. You're exhausted, not the kind of tired that sleep fixes, but a deep mental exhaustion that sits behind your eyes and in the center of your chest. You've tried to be positive. You've repeated mantras, watched motivational videos, told yourself to focus on gratitude, tried to think good thoughts only. And still, the negative thoughts keep coming back like a tide that never really goes out. They show up at night when the world finally gets quiet and there's nothing left to distract you. They show up in the middle of your day, right when you're trying to work or talk to someone, cutting through your focus with a sentence like, "You're failing. You're not enough. None of this makes sense." Your instinct is always the same. Fight. You tense up inside. You try to push the thought away, argue with it, drown it with some quick hit of pleasure or distraction. You scroll, you snack, you binge watch, you pretend everything is fine. On the outside, you function. On the inside, you're constantly in a silent war. The reason this war is so exhausting is simple. You were trained to believe that negative thoughts are flaws. Somewhere along the way, you absorbed the idea that doubts, fears, insecurities, anger, and sadness are proof of a weak mindset. You were told they mean you're not evolved enough, not spiritual enough, not disciplined enough. So when they appear, you don't just feel the thought, you feel shame for having it. So you do what you've been told. You try to erase them with empty affirmations you don't truly believe. You try to cover them with instant distractions. You try to act fine, even when a part of you is screaming to be heard. But here's the key. That part of you doesn't vanish just because you want it to. Carl Jung understood something uncomfortable. The more you fight a psychic content, a thought, a feeling, an image, the more energy you give it. The mind does not delete what you suppress, it hides it. And what is hidden doesn't weaken, it grows stronger in the dark. So when the thought, "I'm a failure," rises, it's not just some random glitch in your mental software. It might be the symbolic voice of an old wound, from a childhood where you never felt recognized, or from years of living in a way that doesn't reflect who you really are. When the thought "nothing makes sense" appears, it's not always just negativity. It can be your deeper self trying to tell you, you have drifted too far from what truly matters to you. And here's the twist no one in the toxic positivity industry wants to admit. Fighting what you feel is the perfect way to stay trapped in it. Every time you treat a negative thought like an enemy that must be killed, you pour more energy into it. You tighten your body, tighten your mind, and push harder. And the thought becomes even more charged. Negative thinking is not just a virus to be removed. Often it's a message. It is your psyche's rough, imperfect way of saying, something here needs your attention. When you start to listen instead of attack, something shifts at a very deep level. The relationship changes. You move from, "My mind is against me," to, "My mind is trying to show me something, even if it's using painful language." This video, this journey, is not about forcing yourself to think positive and ignore your darkness. It's an invitation to finally turn toward the thoughts you've spent years running from. It's about ending the inner war long enough to actually hear what your own soul has been trying to say. Because the moment you stop treating your mind like an enemy and start treating it like a wounded messenger, you stop being its prisoner and start becoming its ally. Why forced positivity backfires? Stop for a second and be honest with yourself. The harder you try not to think about something, the more stubbornly it sticks. The more you push yourself to move on, the heavier and slower everything feels inside. It can start to seem like your own mind is sabotaging you, like there's some internal force dedicated to dragging you backward. But this isn't sabotage, and it definitely isn't weakness. Jung would say you've bumped into one of the deepest laws of the psyche. Whatever becomes one-sided eventually gets compensated. Your mind is not a battlefield where the strongest soldier wins. It's a living ecosystem. It doesn't try to choose good emotions or bad emotions. It tries to maintain balance. So imagine what happens when your conscious mind tries to live only on one side. Be positive. Stay strong. Don't think about fear. Focus only on success. When you build your identity on control, strength, rationality, perfection, and constant optimism, the unconscious does what it must do to restore equilibrium. It sends up the opposite. Fear, doubt, sadness, emptiness. Thoughts you desperately want to avoid. Not as punishment, but as correction. The real problem begins when you interpret this correction as failure. When the negative thought appears, you immediately conclude, something is wrong with me. I'm not positive enough. I should be stronger than this. And from that moment on, you're not just feeling the thought. You're fighting yourself. The war intensifies. You suppress harder. You smile wider. You speak in upbeat cliches you don't believe. Outwardly, you function. Inwardly, pressure builds. Jung warned that what gets repressed doesn't fade. It becomes charged with psychological energy. Think of it like pressing down on a spring. The more force you use, the more potential power you're storing. Forced positivity is like building a dam and pretending the water stopped flowing just because you can't see it anymore. On the surface, everything looks calm. Beneath, the pressure rises slowly, invisibly, and eventually the wall cracks. That's when symptoms appear, seemingly out of nowhere. Anxiety for no clear reason, irritability over small things, emotional numbness followed by sudden tears, exhaustion that sleep doesn't fix, or sometimes a total emotional collapse Jung called this enantiodromia, the inevitable swing into the opposite extreme. The person who tried to be endlessly positive falls into depression. The person who controlled everything is eventually consumed by chaos. The person who denied vulnerability collapses the moment life stops going to plan. And here's the part most people misunderstand. The psyche is not trying to punish you. It's trying to save you. It's trying to force you back toward wholeness when you refuse to listen. Negative thoughts in this sense are not random defects. They're attempts at compensation. They're warning lights saying, something important is being ignored. Something painful is going unheard. The tragedy is that instead of listening, most people double down on repression. They stack more affirmations. They avoid silence. They stay busy, endlessly distracted, terrified of what might rise if everything got quiet for too long. But repression costs energy, and that energy accumulates. The more psychic energy pools in the unconscious, the more it starts to influence everything. Your mood, your decisions, your relationships, your perception of reality itself. There is another path, the one Jung pointed toward, a path that doesn't rely on denial, distraction, or emotional anesthesia. It begins the moment you shift the question from, how do I eliminate this thought, to, why is this thought here? That change may feel small, but it is revolutionary. You move out of war mode and into listening mode. You stop seeing your psyche as a hostile invader and start seeing it as a complex living system trying, sometimes clumsily, to restore balance. Forced positivity teaches you to run from your inner world. Depth psychology invites you back into it, slowly, honestly, courageously. And once you begin listening, you're ready for the next step. Discovering that these dark thoughts aren't random noise, but a symbolic language with something vital to say. Negative thoughts are messages, not defects. Most of us grew up believing that negative thoughts meant something was wrong with us, like mental viruses that needed to be deleted as fast as possible. If you felt afraid, sad, insecure, or doubtful, the conclusion came instantly. My mind is broken. I shouldn't be thinking like this. So you tried to fix yourself. You fought the thoughts, argued with them, stuffed them down, covered them up. Anything to avoid feeling them. But Carl Jung saw something radically different. He believed recurring negative thoughts are not random malfunctions. They are symbols, the psyche's language. When your outer life drifts too far away from your inner truth, the unconscious responds. And often, it responds through thoughts that feel dark, heavy, intrusive, and upsetting. Not to destroy you, but to get your attention. Think of one of the most common examples. I am a failure. Most self-help advice attacks this thought with positivity. No, You're a winner. Just believe in yourself. But the thought doesn't vanish, does it? It keeps returning because it is not the real problem. It is a signal. Under it lives a whole landscape of memories and emotions. Childhood moments where nothing you did felt good enough, years of being compared, criticized, or overlooked, decisions where you abandoned your values to keep others happy. Dreams you quietly buried because you were scared to try. The thought, "I am a failure," is the tip of the iceberg. Beneath it lies grief, shame, disappointment, and unmet needs. The mind uses that sentence to point towards something unresolved. Ignoring it is like seeing a warning light on a car dashboard and smashing the light instead of checking the engine. The same applies to anxiety. When your mind constantly whispers, "Something bad is going to happen," it may not just be irrational fear. It may be the echo of a nervous system that never truly learned to feel safe, perhaps because you grew up in chaos, unpredictability, or emotional neglect. The thought isn't trying to torture you. It's trying to say, "I need real safety, not platitudes." And when life suddenly feels meaningless, when everything seems flat, dull, and empty, it might not be laziness or a bad attitude. Often it's the soul saying, "You've wandered too far from what truly matters to you. You're living a life that doesn't reflect who you are." What modern psychology sometimes labels cognitive distortions, Jung often saw as symbols, letters from the unconscious. And every time you rip the letter up without reading it, the psyche simply sends another, louder one. So the real question is not, "How can I delete this thought?" but, "What is this thought trying to show me?" That single question shifts you out of self-attack and into curiosity. You stop treating your mind like a malfunctioning machine and start relating to it as a complex inner world with meaning and intention. This doesn't mean every negative thought is literally true. Jung never said that. Instead, he suggested that negative thoughts are psychologically true. They point to real wounds, conflicts, and unmet needs, even if the words themselves are exaggerated or symbolic. For example, "No one loves me" might not be factually accurate, but it can reflect a deep loneliness or a life where emotional connection feels scarce. When you approach your thoughts like messages instead of threats, you begin to soften. Defensiveness loosens, curiosity grows, and slowly the psyche relaxes because it no longer has to scream to be heard. You begin asking, "Where does this thought come from? When did I first start thinking like this? What part of my life feels out of alignment when this thought appears?" And as these questions open up, another realization rises, one that can completely change your relationship with your inner world. You are not the thought itself. The thought is an experience moving through you. You are the awareness noticing it. Understanding that distinction is the doorway to real inner freedom, and it's exactly where we go next. You are not your thoughts, from fusion to dialogue. For most of your life, you probably assumed that whatever your mind said must be true. A thought appeared. "I'm a failure. Nobody really cares about me. Everything is going to fall apart." And instead of questioning it, you absorbed it like a painful fact. You didn't just have the thought, you became the thought. That fusion is what keeps people trapped. Carl Jung understood that real psychological freedom starts the moment you create distance between consciousness, the one who observes, and content, the thoughts, images, and emotions that arise. The psyche is not one unified voice. It is more like a chorus. Inside you live archetypes, memories, emotional fragments, learned defenses, and each of them can speak at different moments. Suffering happens when you mistake one voice for your entire self. Imagine sitting in a room with a television on. A movie about failure is playing on the screen. If you stand nose to screen, that movie fills your entire reality. You forget the walls, the chair, the room, the fact that you are the one watching. That's what happens when you fuse with a thought. But the truth is simple and radical. You are not the screen. You are the one who is aware of the screen. This realization is the beginning of inner space, and inner space is where choice lives. A practical way to create that space is through language. Instead of saying, "I'm inadequate," you say, "I'm having the thought that I'm inadequate." Instead of, "No one loves me," you say, "My mind is telling a story where I feel unloved." And instead of, "Everything will go wrong," you say, I'm noticing a catastrophic thought passing through. The meaning shifts instantly. The thought is no longer a judge or dictator. It becomes an event. Something happening within you, not something that defines you. This practice is sometimes called cognitive diffusion, but its spirit was already present in Jung's work. If you fuse with the thought, it possesses you. If you observe it, it loses its grip. Once some distance is created, you become capable of something deeper. Dialogue. Jung called this active imagination, letting unconscious material speak so it can be integrated instead of acting out in destructive ways. Here is how it might look. A painful thought appears. Instead of drowning in it, you visualize it as a figure, maybe a shadow, maybe a younger version of you, maybe a frightened animal. You give it shape, you give it voice, and then you talk to it on paper without censorship. You. Why do you keep telling me I'm going to fail? Thought. Because if you believe that, you won't risk anything. And if you never risk anything, you can't get hurt again. This logic may be twisted, but it makes psychological sense. Many negative thoughts try, in clumsy, painful ways, to protect you. They'd rather keep you small and safe than let you risk rejection, disappointment, or humiliation. When you finally recognize the intention behind the thought, you can respond differently. Thank you for trying to protect me, but I'm capable of failing and still surviving. I don't need fear to run my life anymore. At that moment, the enemy softens. The inner critic becomes a wounded guardian. The thought stops shouting because, for the first time, it has been heard. This is not denial. It is transformation. You're no longer trapped inside the thought. You're in relationship with it, and relationships can evolve. As this practice deepens, you realize something profound. Thoughts will come and go, stories will rise and fall, emotions will surge and fade, but the observing presence remains. That presence is steady, patient, aware. It does not need to silence the mind in order to be free. Learning to live from that observing center prepares you for the final and most challenging movement of Jung's insight. Not choosing between light and shadow, but learning to hold both without collapsing in two. Holding opposites in radical acceptance. You were taught to pick sides. Be strong, not fragile. Be hopeful, not doubtful. Be positive, not negative. From childhood onward, the message was clear. Good emotions belong, bad emotions must go. And so you spent years trying to live on only one half of yourself, pushing away whatever didn't match the image of who you thought you should be. But Jung saw something deeply different. He believed that real psychological maturity begins when you stop trying to amputate half your inner life and instead learn to hold opposites at the same time. Light and shadow, courage and fear, confidence and insecurity. This isn't comfortable, but it is honest. When a negative thought appears, your reflex is to drown it in positivity. I shouldn't think like that. I need to be grateful. Other people have it worse, yet all you've done is silence one part of yourself with another. Instead of integration, you create a civil war inside. And as we've seen, the part that gets silenced always returns. Louder, heavier, more desperate to be acknowledged. Now imagine doing something far more courageous. A thought appears. I'm a failure. Instead of fighting, you say, a part of me feels like a failure, and another part knows I've grown and I'm still learning. Both statements exist in you. Both contain truth. You don't force one to disappear to make the other feel safer. You become spacious enough to hold both. This is not naive optimism. This is wholeness. You can practice this again and again. A part of me is terrified, and another part knows I can handle difficult things. A part of me feels lonely, and another part recognizes I am capable of creating connection. A part of me hurts, and another part is slowly healing. Nothing is denied. Nothing is exiled. The psyche relaxes because it no longer has to fight for permission to exist. And this leads to the deepest movement of all, radical acceptance. Not the surface-level acceptance that says, it's fine, while secretly wishing everything would disappear, but the grounded, brave acknowledgement that negative thoughts are part of being human. They are not proof that you're weak, broken, or spiritually behind. They're simply signs that you're alive, feeling, remembering, learning, and evolving. Jung never promised a life free of darkness. He understood that individuation, becoming your true, authentic self, requires you to face everything inside you that was denied, shamed, ignored, or misunderstood. Negative thoughts are not obstacles blocking the path. They are the path pointing directly toward the places that still need honesty and compassion. What you once called defect may actually be a plea for reconnection. What you once labeled negativity may be a lost part of you asking to come home. Radical acceptance begins when you stop asking, "Why am I still like this?" and start saying, "Of course I think this way. Given what I've lived, it makes sense." This sentence doesn't excuse pain. It understands it. And understanding dissolves shame, which is the glue holding so many painful thought patterns in place. Acceptance does not mean surrendering to darkness. It means refusing to keep running from it. You walk through it now with awareness, carrying light from within instead of begging the world to provide it. Your negative thoughts will still appear, but now they're no longer tyrants, they're signals. They're weather patterns passing across the sky, while you remain the vastness beneath them. Jung said true strength isn't domination over the mind. It's the ability to hold contradictions without collapsing. And that is what you've been practicing, step by step, thought by thought. Every time you chose curiosity instead of repression, compassion instead of judgment, and integration instead of warfare. This is psychological adulthood. This is inner freedom. And this is the beginning, not the end, of knowing yourself fully, gently, and truthfully.